Thanks for downloading a 3CR podcast. 3CR is an independent community radio station based in Melbourne, Australia. We need your financial support to keep going. Go to www.3cr.org.au for more information and to donate online. Now stay tuned for your 3CR podcast.
Sabah al-Khair. Good morning, dear listeners. You're listening to Radio 3CR on 855 AM and Palestine Remembered with Yousef Ahmed al-Rimawi. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Australia's only radio program that is totally dedicated to the Palestinian cause in English language. I'd like to welcome my listeners on the AM dial and those who'll join me later on the website 3cr.org.au/podcasts. My guest this episode is a Melbourne-based humanist and writer who is originally from Jordan. And the intro music we're listening to is titled after the capital of Jordan, Amman, by the Jordanian composer Tariq al-Nasser. Stay with me and enjoy the episode. I'm very pleased to welcome in the studio Haya Muneer Kildani, a Melbourne-based writer and humanist, originally from Jordan. Haya, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Yousef, for having me, and I'd love to take the opportunity to thank you for your enormous time and effort in helping the refugees. Keep up the good work, mate.
Thank you. We're going to talk about your journey to Australia, but before that, I want to capture the earliest memories of your childhood in your hometown and in Jordan in general.
My earliest memories are my school, family, friends, the gatherings. I was born in Amman and I grew up in the city of Madaba, the city of mosaics. This is what's well known for, the city of mosaics in Jordan. There's a mosaic map for the region dating from the 6th century, actually, and with 2 million pieces of colored stone.
In Madaba?
Yeah, in Madaba.
That must attract a lot of tourists.
Yep. And I studied at Latin Patriarchate High School, next right to John the Baptist Church, which was founded in 1883.
More than a century old?
More than a century old, that's
How
right.
did that feel, growing up or going to school that, dates back?
It's a great feeling. It's actually feels like mini Bethlehem.
Mini Bethlehem.
Yeah. You travel back in time. Yeah.
And
by the way, the city of Madaba, it's not far from the capital, Amman.
So does this mean that you can commute on a daily basis from the two cities?
Yes, because I used to live in Madaba and I used to travel daily to Amman, to University of Jordan.
Haya, how does Madaba stand out from the rest of the Jordanian cities and towns?
Its openness, actually. And because of the many Christian holy sites, we have pilgrims on a daily basis that visit the city. And we were always exposed to foreigners and different cultures and different languages.
This brings me to an important element, which is basically the fact that you came from a family of Christian faith. which opens the door to another dimension of discussion, the minorities issues and human rights issues. Could you please elaborate on the fact that you grew up as a Christian in pretty much a Muslim country, and if things are different today?
That's a very important question. I grew up in a time when the issue of religion was never mentioned. It didn't matter at all whether you're Muslim or Christian. I personally and my family have Muslim friends with deep ties till now. Unfortunately, things have changed today. Even though Jordan, very well known for being moderate, but a lot of us can feel and can see the polarization, not only on a religious or sectarian level, but also political level, and that is scary.
Haya, does this make you feel worried?
Of course I am. Of course it does.
Now, also I want to ask you if you feel optimistic or pessimistic about the future in this particular point.
I'm realistic. And look, we can't be negative and pessimistic about things. We have to have the strength and the will that we're going to get over it. It's just a stage. But I'm worried and being realistic, and we can't deny and ignore that there is a problem.
What's your proposal to the solution of this problem, and
Okay.
from the way, let's say, the government is dealing with this type of polarization?
The government provides security solutions actually to social and political issues, ignoring that ignorance is a prerequisite to fear, which leads to hatred and then violence. So instead of waiting for polarization to escalate and turn into violence, we need to promote and implement knowledge and proper education to overcome ignorance and break that cycle.
Makes perfect sense to me.
To me too.
Investment in proper education and knowledge.
Proper education and knowledge.
But
this is the first step that we need to
But some would
take
argue,
action.
first step, what other steps do you think that might be needed?
Well, it goes hand in hand in parallel with implementing legislations, let's say, to incriminate hate speech without compromising freedom of speech.
How do you do that?
I believe it's the responsibility of the civil society to monitor the discourse.
Because this is a complicated issue.
It is, because it's a complicated issue, and the consequences, if we lose control over what's happening over there,
It
we
will
need
turn
to
into
handle
dictatorship.
Exactly. So we need to handle it with a lot of awareness, keeping in mind justice.
So, for instance, criticizing taboos, it can be fine as long as it is not provocative. That's what I think.
No, not really. No, hang on a second.
Let me explain myself. Okay, let me rephrase.
Okay.
Let's say that you have a cultural, tribal taboo, like the issues of honor killing. And unfortunately, Jordan is an example. Let's say that you...
Among the rest of the region
that's not
as well.
the only, of course,
That's not
among
the only,
everyone else. Let's say that you want to criticize the tribal law that can be used for criminals to get away with their crime. Now, criticizing it is fine, but using provocative terms might lead to more problematic results and open the can of worms.
Well, we should scratch where it itches, Yousef. And it shouldn't be a problem, because harming and violating human rights, it doesn't matter how you criticize and what do you provoke. Because this is wrong. What they're doing is wrong. So go straight to the point and not criticize it.
In
we
a
have to be
constructive-
critical in a constructive way.
Because
we need positive results, and all these actions, or these actions that we talk about, the honor killing now, should be stopped. So which way that we're going to say it, or how we're going to criticize it, it doesn't matter. So if they're going to be provoked, that's their problem.
You're listening to Palestine Remembered on 855 AM, and our guest today is Haya Kildani, a Melbourne-based writer and humanist, originally from Jordan. We're going to continue this enlightening interview after the break, and you get to choose what song you want to...
Me?
Yes.
Arabic or in English?
In Arabic, let's say.
In Arabic? Okay. If it's Arabic, I would choose Lina Shmemian.
Yes.
لما بدا يتثنى. This is a song that I really, really like. I'm in love with that song and the singer.
لما بدا يتثنى, a song written 8 centuries ago during the time when Arabs were in Spain, Andalusia. And the song is by Lina Shmemian, a Syrian singer from Armenian origin. Haya, welcome again to the show.
Thank you, Yousef.
I want to ask about your perceptions about Australia before you arrived here. To what extent were they close or far from reality when you arrived?
I wasn't very much disappointed.
You were not?
I wasn't disappointed at all. What was on my mind, or the image that I had in my mind for Australia, it nearly matched my expectations.
Because I remember Australia was one of the countries that was not too significant in our education.
It wasn't mentioned very much. We hear a lot about the States, Canada, and Europe. Australia wasn't on the map.
How did your parents feel when you told them about Australia when you decided?
They were sad for that decision because I have to be very far from them. I actually brought the atlas, the map of Australia, in front of my dad, and I told him, "This is where I want to be." That's true. He was he didn't believe me at the beginning, but he was very sad. He was very sad. The other thing that I'd love to mention is the cultural shock for the newcomers, because there's generally little or no preparation for the challenges an immigrant faces with respect to their traditional value system. How do we respond to a new culture whose value system differs from us? So the adults face challenges through their daily interaction, and children through the school system. The cultural shock that I'm talking about, I didn't go through it, actually. I was expecting it. I had a lot of preparation.
Didn't surprise you?
It didn't surprise me, yeah. But on the other hand, what I witnessed and what I've seen during my staying here, it affected a lot of people, and they didn't know how to deal with it.
You have great command of English language. Did you have the language barrier when you moved in?
No, I didn't. However, I worked on myself to upgrade the language. Being a parent, it's very important to communicate with your kids on a good level, because the communication gap that I've seen here among other families and other newcomers was a dilemma. It was a big issue.
It is absolutely fine for people to find it difficult to learn a language like English, but sometimes I feel that they need to do more.
Of course, because as the children begin to assimilate into the new society, many lose fluency in their ethnic language, while the adults fail to learn English. So there's no longer effective communication between children and parents. You lose the bond, and that creates a lot of problems like identity crisis. Parents will lose their authority over the children.
So it's much bigger than it looks like.
Of course it is.
To migrants.
How can you communicate with your kids and there's a language barrier? It's actually selfish of us not to learn.
Haya, this takes us to another dimension, which is basically the family level.
Mm-hmm.
You were born in Jordan and you grew up there and you were at the receiving end of parenting. And then you came here to Australia and now you have your own family. You are a mother and you are at the giving end of parenting. How did you deal with this contrast?
I've learned a lot from my mom and dad, and they did a great job indeed. Personally, I can't force my views on my children. I can teach them to respect themselves and to respect others, not to judge others, not to hurt others, be compassionate about another human being. I can teach them also to be leaders, not followers, encourage them to express themselves, and constantly remind them how important education is, and keep learning. And learning is a non-stop process, and etc., etc. So I can always show them that and these views, but I cannot force them to adapt my own views. At the same time, I can show them where we come from, our culture and beliefs, and so on. But at the end of the day, it's their path, and I have to provide choices to them. After all, they belong to life, and they have to make their own decisions.
Now, it's like double-edged sword. Being from another background can be rich and diverse, and it can add a lot to the upbringing of the kids. On the other hand, it can also turn into an identity clash.
Look, it's very important to accept and adapt, and I did that when I first came to this country. So accepting and adapting are both crucial to blend in that society. And to be accepted into the new society, and normally newcomers, and I did straight away actually, and I found that easy to do. You change your way of thinking, behavior, habits, social norms, and your former way of life, which I did all that. So the key word is change your default setting. Yeah, that's true.
Setting?
Yeah, default setting. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, but
you need to adapt. It's new society. And be proud of who you are and your background and your culture. But
so
you can
maybe
always merge together and bridge the two cultures together and celebrate both cultures. With this approach, how are kids going to develop an identity crisis?
I don't think they will, because you properly acknowledged that before it happens.
That's right, because I've
and
seen
you prevented
the others.
it.
Yeah. I've seen the others, and I found out the answer, and it was very easy for me to do that.
Haya, you are a writer, and you write in Arabic. You have your own blog, and you also publish in one of the most popular websites in Jordan, Amoon. Is it Amoon.com?
Amoon.
Amoon.
And prior to that, and still with Filmersad for Dr.
Filmersad, yes.
Musa Barhome.
And I follow your writing with interest, always.
Thank you.
How did that happen? How did writing knock on your door? Or did you make that journey to writing land?
I always used to express myself in writing since I was at school.
What did you write about at the beginning? Reflections?
Reflections. Mainly my writing was to bring meaning to life. It's about life.
Diaries.
A bit of philosophy. I write to understand more about myself, to monitor my progress, and then I reflect on it and go back and see and look at what I wrote before. And I like to mold things into the image that I have in my imagination. But writing comes knocking at my door when there is injustice needs to be highlighted. This is where it just comes.
Now, when you say just injustice, you're referring to personal or collective injustices? Both.
When there is a horrifying violation in human rights, and that's what I hear and that's what I read on a daily basis, it provokes me as a human being not to do anything about it. I know I'm not doing anything much, and I can't change the world, but this is what at least I can do, is to highlight what's happening.
Having read some of your articles, I disagree with you in terms of there's nothing. I'm not changing anything. Some of your articles have more than 120,000 viewers or readers, and several hundreds of shares on Facebook and social media.
Yeah.
Which means that you have wide base of readers.
Fortunately, I'm lucky. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
You're good. You're not just lucky. You just need to go on. Just accept
Thank
that.
you, Yousef. Thank you. Yeah.
So you were saying that you started early, and now you write in response to injustices.
And that's right.
Now, let's go back to your writing, and could you please just give us, let's say, 2 examples of topics you wrote about?
The first topic that I have to mention is, and I wrote about with deep sadness, it was the death of our Jordanian Air Force pilot, Muath Kasasbe, who was burned to death by ISIS. Now, despite the brutality of the scene, all Jordanians stood hand in hand in solidarity in full rejection to this ideology. The other ones are about exposing certain social behaviors that deepen the polarization, which brings me back to my earlier point about the importance of investing in knowledge and increase the level of awareness, and that's the goal of my writings.
Haya, we're heading towards the end of this interview, and I could fit hours without finishing my questions and listening to your enlightening answers. But I would like to conclude by one thing from, let's say, English literature, non-Arabic literature, let's say, that captivated your imagination, that you would like to share with us.
I'd love to share with you a very powerful theme in a little story called This is Water by David Foster Wallace, who's an award-winning novelist, short story writer. So briefly, there are 2 young fish swimming along, and they happen to meet an older fish swimming at the other direction, who nods at them and says, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" And the 2 young fish swim on for a bit. Then one of them looked at the other one and asked, "What the hell is water?" Yeah, I know. Now, Wallace's theme is to think consciously day in and day out, and he proposes living a compassionate life. So a theme worth revisiting on a daily basis. The other thing is the most obvious important realities are often the ones that are the hardest to see and talk about. So we're really always already swimming in a connected sea of interdependence that we often fail to perceive.
And on this powerful note, Haya, we've come to the end of this enlightening interview. Thank you very much for taking the time and coming to the studio. I really enjoyed listening to you and opening all these horizons.
Thank you, Yousef.
Now, in the final segment of the program, there's also another Arabic song that you also get to choose.
I definitely have to choose a song dedicated to Madaba by Makadi Nahas. She's from Madaba, and she's a family friend, and I love her voice. She's amazing.
What's the song?
The song in particular, Haya ala Haya. Yeah, I don't know if you heard it, but I'd love to hear it.
I would love to hear it too. Thank you again, Haya Kildani.
Thanks for having me, Yousef.
It's been a pleasure. Haya Muneer Kildani, a Melbourne-based humanist and writer, originally from Jordan. With this, we've come to the end of this week's episode of Palestine Remembered. Until we meet next Saturday, same time, 9:30. Have a great time and salam.